morning and welcome. This is Whole and Beautiful, and I am Angela Oliphant, your host. And I am so glad that you have joined me tonight for another night of information, revelation, and change. Tonight is going to be another phenomenal night. You want to make sure that you're liking, that you're commenting, and that you share this broadcast with someone else, because I know somebody else is going to want to hear the information that we have on tonight. I do have a guest that will be coming on shortly, but I want to go through this real quick with you. If you have a topic that you would like me to talk about, please send me an email, wholebeautiful@gmail.com, and I will be happy to research it, get somebody on here to talk to with them about that topic, or research it on my own and get back to you about that particular topic. There are some topics out there that some people have mentioned, so I'm working on those now, and we're going to be bringing on those shows pretty soon. But if you have one, let me know. Also, couples conversations. I am still doing couples conversations. So if you know a couple that you would like to be on the show, please let me know, and we'll get in contact with them and get them here on the show. I got to meet a couple in person about a week or so ago. I got to meet them. It was a couple that I have on here pretty regular, the Fullers, Dana and Chauncey Fuller. Shout out to you guys. I really enjoyed seeing you all in person and getting to meet you in person. It was great to see them, because I was just seeing them from the computer. But tonight, I'm going to have another guest that's going to be on. Good evening, Linda. How you doing? I'm going to have a guest that is coming on tonight. His name is Omar Marquise Oliphant. You notice that he has the same last name as I do, and that is my middle son. Last week, I had my oldest son on. So I'm talking to different ones, and I'm talking about fatherhood, and we're just talking about who they are, what they do, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna bring Omar in, and we're gonna start this conversation, because we're gonna see how this conversation is gonna go tonight with Mr. Omar Oliphant. Hi, Omar.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Me?
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was saying, I'm wondering if you heard me, and I was just curious.
Yes, I hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I was telling the people that we're gonna be here on tonight, and Linda's watching. Hey, Linda, how you doing? And you got some other people that's out there watching, but they sometimes people don't say anything when they come in. So if they don't talk to us, we don't know that
Man,
they're
it'll be okay. It's fine.
out.
It'll be totally fine.
So, but since they are out there now, what we're gonna do is what I wanted to do is just have you, because I could go on and on and on and talk about Omar, because I know Omar. But I want you to share a little bit with my whole and beautiful nation. Share with them who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so for starters, of course, I'm your son. I'm 32 years old. Well, my birthday was on the 5th, so, happy, blessed you, 32
Happy
years.
birthday.
Right now, I'm currently an assistant manager at Quick Trip. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but I'm pretty sure people in the North Carolina area and even Atlanta and all that know, or even Columbia and Greenville and all that is, it's pretty popular.
Yes.
This is a fairly new market that we're in, so we will be, it will be known probably in the next couple of years, in my opinion. But I also am an artist. I do play the piano a little bit, but my big passion is drawing. I've been doing that since forever.
Yeah.
So
So you still do some pieces now?
I haven't done a piece in a while. I bought the canvas board. The Bristol board. I bought it, but I kind of have it sitting tucked away until I decide on what to
Oh,
do.
when
But I
you
do
bring
draw every day. I do practice every day.
it
Do it just
up.
about every day.
So you like sketching throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, even on like sometimes at work, sometimes it's just like a little quick. Sometimes some drawings don't take, but like 5 minutes sometimes. So it's quick,
Okay.
quick sketches and doodles. But yeah, that'll never stop. That'll never change.
Okay, so you say you're 32 years old. You
Hmm.
draw. You play a little bit of piano. You
Yeah, I
you
really want to do electric guitar though. That's
want
not
to
that's
learn electric guitar.
the guitar is what I really want to do.
Okay, okay. I found out something new. All right.
Yeah.
So that's something that you're aspiring to do.
Yeah, but one step at a time, you know.
Okay, okay. And you're working as a manager. Was that something that you aspired to do? Is that something that you said, "Oh, I'm going to be a manager of whatever," or is that something that you just decided?
Oh well, uh, but the management thing, I kind of got thrown into it. My biggest thing, I did start out. I mean, my first job was Arby's, but how I got catapulted and being a manager anyway was I was a manager at well, I was a driver at Domino's. And over the course of time, the guy who was training me, he was cross training me on a lot of different things, and he kept asking me when did I want to become a manager. And I kept telling him no. I'm cool with just going to work, making my money, laying low, driving, making tips, and just be out the way. And then, some chain of events happened, and next, he comes up to me. He's like, "So, are you ready to be a manager?" And I'm like, "I'm still, like, no, I don't want to be a
So what?
manager."
So he saw in you something you really didn't see for yourself, or it's just that you saw it, but you didn't want to work in that capacity.
Well, I mean, I know, and deep down inside, I feel like I'm a good leader. I feel like but I know I'm a good leader for myself. Uh, when I'm dealing with other people, it's kind of like finicky because you have different attitudes, different personalities, and
Yeah.
it can be tricky to deal with. But
So you were wondering if you could do that
yeah,
for other people.
correct. Because I
So
know.
you just kind of like, I don't know. I want to say welcome right now to Diane. Thank you for stopping in to listen, Diane. And then Linda's here, and Josie's here, and Victoria Henderson, and she's here. Thank you all for joining in tonight. I really appreciate you all being here. Um, and we are talking to Omar Oliphant, who is my second born son. I have three children. Y'all
I'm
saw
not adopted biological.
say what?
I'm not adopted biological son.
Why would you say that?
Just in
But
case.
he said just in case. Yes, Omar. Yes, you are biological. Oh man. And you were saying how you didn't like aspire to be the manager thing. It was like it was just put out there for you. And
Mhm.
because of what they saw in you, they were like, okay, you can do this. And now you are managing that particular store. Um, how is that for you? You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but just tell us, is that something that you plan to say, hey, I'm gonna stay in this arena, or do I feel like, or in this capacity, in this career choice, or am I going to shift? Do I feel like
Um,
I'll shift and move into another place?
I mean, I'll take things one step at a time, but
Yeah.
my real passion again, like I said, is art, like something in my career field. But with the job that I have now, they do have different openings and stuff, and they do hire from within. So, who's to say maybe advertising or something in the marketing or something dealing with art or, may open up.
Okay.
So, but as far as did I aspire? I mean, not really. If you like how I got into it, I was again applying for jobs, and I went on Indeed, and I'm looking at it like, okay, I saw the amount of money they were offering. I'm like, there's no way that there's no way in the world that this place is gonna pay me that much. So I went through, applied, and they set up the interview. So I'm skeptical in the back of my head, thinking like, okay, I went on, I'm gonna give it a try and sat in the interview and everything. After the whole process, they first thing they said, "So when can you start orientation?" I'm like, that was most people they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, we'll get
We'll
back to
call you
you. We'll call you
back.
back."
But you got
But no,
offered that right on the spot.
right
So
on the spot.
okay, well that's good. That
So,
says a lot about you, about your character, and about what they saw. Um,
mhm.
I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit right here and
Okay.
go back to when you were like around that teenage years, the 16, the 15, 16-year old, when as some of you all know and some of you all don't know, but Omar had an AVM and he can explain to you all what that means. And we didn't know it at the time, but he was playing, he wanted to play sports, he wanted to do different things. He was having some difficulty, and we finally found out what was going on, and he had to have surgery. And I'll let him tell you what type of surgery that was, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about his journey going through that AVM. First of all, Omar, can you explain to everybody what that AVM was?
Well, I mean, from the way they explained to me, because again, I'm not a medical expert, but
Right.
I did have, she tried to explain it the best way possible in terms that I would understand it. Apparently, AVM is I think it's called an arterial venous malformation or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And the way she described it was like a bag of worms, which like blood vessels were clumped up together. And so blood was trying to flow to the brain and blood was trying to flow away from the brain, but they were flowing against each other. And they were causing the blood vessels to stretch and stuff. So every time I'd be like, but it agitated it because I was active and I did play sports. So apparently you're born with it. But again, it might not stretch or it might not cause complications based off of how active you are, just in general. And since I played sports, it was causing me to stretch and I would have blackouts. I would have different situations where I would have seizures. But again, it wasn't epilepsy. It was just because I had the AVM. So there was numerous cases where I went to the doctor and they said it was like dehydration. You need to drink more water. You need to eat this. You need to eat right. So I would do those things and I still would have issues. And then finally, I know you were with me, and then we finally sat at the doctor all day long and had them run pretty much a bunch of different tests, and we weren't going to leave until we figured it out. And that's when they did. Was it a CAT scan or MRI? I can't remember.
They did both.
And then that they did it with the dye or whatever, and that's when they found it. And actually, I had two surgeries. One surgery where it was like they ran something from the main artery of my leg and tried to fill it in. I think it's called an embolization or something like that.
Yes.
And but it's bigger than what they thought it was. So after they did that one, then they did the brain surgery that following January. So I had the first surgery in October, and then had the second surgery in January.
And y'all see how he did that? He just rolled it off his tongue like real. Oh, I just had brain surgery. Oh man, it was a major surgery that he had. But Omar, do you remember what you told me when you were going into surgery?
Yeah, that'll be fine. I wasn't scared at all. I was just worried about my tape line and this scar on my head and all that. I
Do
wasn't
y'all
worried about. I was not worried
do
about.
y'all hear what he said? He was saying he was worried about his tape line. He was like, "Y'all gonna mess my hair up," and I'm sitting there saying, "He was like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. I'll be good. I'm gonna be real good." I mean, and he was like, "God got me. I'm good." And then he went on. He was going on the surgery, and I was about to like freak out. But he was worried about his tape line of what his hair was gonna look like.
The first question I asked him, I was like, "Okay, do I have to shave my head, or are y'all gonna shave my head?" And they were like, "Okay, so we're gonna shave your head, but only in surgery." And I'm like, "I am not gonna look jacked up, have like a patch of hair missing right here, and I have to nah, nah."
Oh my goodness, he was worried about a tape line. But as you all can see, he is doing well. He's doing fine. That has been what, over 14 years ago, Omar?
It was the
Oh,
2000. Well, the October one was in 2008. The brain surgery was in January 2009. So yeah, it's
yeah.
been a long while.
It's been a while. It's been a
Mhm.
while. And you came through there with flying colors. You did good and you've been doing well.
Mhm.
Everything's been great. So we praise God for that. Yes, we do, because things could have been a different way. They were talking about all the different complications that could happen and how different things they wouldn't know until after he came out of surgery how everything would be. But before going into the surgery, he was like, "I'm good. I'm fine. God got me. I'm gonna be fine, Mama." So and he was. He came out. He knew who he was. He knew who we were. He had the strength he needed. He had the different things that he needed to do. So he was doing really good. We already talked about your drawing and your
Mm-hmm.
creative gifts that you have, and you are still drawing.
No, that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for him to do a one man show, is what I want him to do. I want him to do some art pieces. I want him to set it up. And I've been saying this for a long time. So maybe y'all can encourage him um, to set up a show, just to do his own show, do his own art show. He doesn't have to go to a gallery or anything like that, but he can set it up locally at one of the park recreation buildings and set up all your artwork and have people come have your own art show. Is what I say. Put the pieces together so people can see the talent and see what you have. Your Because your art teacher back even in high school, she was
Mm-hmm.
like, he is different from the rest of them. She was like, he's really an artist. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that is a part of who you are because you grew up, like you said, doing it. And I
Mm-hmm.
encourage you to go ahead and do some pieces.
I still remember my teacher say my middle school art teacher was Miss Turlington, and then my high school art teacher was Miss Newman.
Yeah. And
They
they both were like, he is exceptionally well with his art. And that's why a lot of Omar's art pieces have been like in art galleries and stuff here in South Carolina. And he's won awards for his art.
oh
And we
yeah,
want,
yeah. It was one of them was a matter of fact, it was a digital art piece. Like I
yes,
think it was my senior year of high school, I believe. It was like I won like a Golden Key Award or
yes.
something like that, and I think it was like we had to draw the was it Greenwood or what did we get?
Um, oh,
It was
man, I'm trying to remember the
it
name of the
was Lander University, wherever
Stanford
Lander is at.
University. It's like up in that area, yes.
And it was lined up against some people art from Charleston, some professional
Yes.
people and all that, and they had the gold key, the silver key, and the bronze key, and I got the gold key on
Yes. So you need to
it.
pursue and you need to
Yeah.
we want to put some hand claps and some hearts up there and say, "Go, Omar, do this art show," so people can see your work because your work is very good. And I'm not just saying that because I'm your mom. I'm saying that
Mhm.
because your artwork is very good, and people need to see it. And you never know where that artwork can take you. Um, what do you see yourself doing? Let's say within the next maybe like 2 years, 3 years. Where do you see Omar? What is Omar doing?
um, Really, I mean, again, my art, some dealing with art, but just overall successful. I mean, just having everything like debt free. Well, I'm working on that now. I've been
Yes.
in the process of building my credit and getting stuff knocked off and all that. Just because just the conditions and stuff. I'm my standard of living is way up here, so so I mean, it's just overall just successful in general, whether it's in my personal life and then on my job. And if I am still at my job now, the currently that I work at now, then I mean, I can still do my artwork on the side and everything. So I mean, just overall, and then having my artwork, getting that jump started to where it's not difficult or a challenge to kind of just make a piece. It's just
Okay.
rolls off. I'm a perfectionist, so sometimes I'll draw and start, and then I'll stop for like another couple
I
weeks, and I'll
know.
jump up and start again.
And everybody else be saying, like your mom be saying, "That's good, Omar. You better now know I need to do this and no, I need to, you just need to draw it and put it out there.
Hmm.
Somebody will pick that up." Um, you were talking about when you were introducing yourself, you were talking about all the different things. One thing that he didn't say in the beginning, I don't think I heard him say, but he is a dad.
No, I didn't say
Or
that.
is a dad.
Happy
He
Father's
does
Day weekend. Yeah,
he
I got
does have a son, one son, no
proud
more.
father of a 4 year old. So
And how is it having a 4 year old, Omar?
it is actually quite fun because I mean, I enjoy my time with him every time I have him. He's very very smart. He's very intelligent. So I mean, he takes a lot after me, but I mean, in my opinion, I mean, that's opinionated. I don't know, but from where I look at it, he takes a lot after me. information he catches on very quickly. Like he's always been like that ever since he was little.
So with that being said, how does it feel to you like being a dad?
I mean, in some instances, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, still, it's still surreal in a way because it's still looking at like a little mini me, still, like it's like in my head, I have, I created a human being, it's another person who, again, you have to monitor, be a role model for, and stuff like that. Actually, having a son helped me in a lot of ways because I started reflecting on a lot of different things and a lot of choices that I made and a lot of choices that I have to make in the future, and it's forcing me to dial it back. Okay, is it going to be a good fit or a good decision for me and him?
Right.
Because even though it's like he's 4 now, but he's always going to look. Again, he's a boy, so he's going to look at me like as far as decision making. So I have to be smart about what I do, smart about what I say, and smart about how I move, because ultimately I'm his first role model in a way. So
Okay. All right, Omar. All right. I wanted to ask you this question too, and I'm going to get to the other question in a little bit. But in your age group,
hmm
like the age group that you're in, you said you're 32,
correct.
and in that particular age group, with your generation, what do you think is the motivation for those who are in that generation to like attend church? You have certain people who say, well, people in this age group, they really not wanting to be out and going to a church and attending a church. And then you have people who say, well, it just depends on what you're offering, and you have to offer certain things, and you have to be a certain way for people to actually come in and be a part of like a ministry or a part of a church. What is your take on that? What do you think?
I think in a lot of ways, for one, I mean, I think it's like a two-sided coin. For one, you do have people, I mean, you do have some, I guess, pastors, preachers, or whatever, who are not doing or living according to the word, the word that they preach and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, I mean, ultimately, they need to be held accountable for that. And because, I mean, again, same thing as a role model. So you're a leader in a way. So if you're a leader, then there's certain things that you can and cannot do. And, again, that's subjective to people, but you know what I mean? But if it goes according to the word, then it's like, follow, you have to follow what you preach. You can't, that's just like me, again, if you would need my son, like that's just like telling my son not to do certain things. I turn around and do those things, and he's going to be looking at me confused. Like, okay, if I'm even in the house, like I'll use household chores for example. How can I tell my son to clean up and wash dishes and stuff if I sit around and just let dishes pile up and just don't sweep, don't mop?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things. But on the flip side of that too is a lot of people. I feel like people also use excuses as to why they don't do what they don't, they use excuses for not going or saying, oh, I don't want to go because of this X, Y, Z. In my opinion, it's like you go to your job every day. You might not
Right.
like what your job does. You might not agree with certain policies. What is you eat meat and spit out the bones or something like that. It's not like you go to your job or you go to certain things, you do certain things, and you might not agree, but you still do it anyway.
Right.
But yeah, why is it that when when church or stuff like that is involved, now all of a sudden you just don't do it? Oh, I don't agree, so I don't go. You know, you're
Yeah.
not gonna. And I would say, like in a sense, being around people that disagree with you or you might not agree with is important because it challenges you to kind of like find out different things and find out the truth yourself. It challenges you to actually study, because if you don't,
Right.
if you're around people that agree with you all the time, it's actually doing yourself a disservice because they're pretty much crippling you because they're not going to help you grow.
Right.
Everybody's comfortable. Everybody's just like, okay, we're just going to go by to see, man, wind or whatever. But when you're around people, around things that's uncomfortable a little bit, it puts you on alert and it forces you to pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to what's being said, paying attention to, everything. So
So
I would
that
say,
you can continue to grow and push
mhm.
forward.
So I would say like a lot of, I would say excuses on both ends. because again, also on the other side, people can kind of smell out people that are being fake. If people are teaching, if people are pastors and stuff like that, if they're authentic, whoever they are, some people have a different flavor. Some people are going to draw certain people, and other people aren't. I mean, it just is what it is. But it's like, but that's the reason why I said it's an excuse, because there's plenty different types of pastors. There's plenty different types of teachers.
Right, right.
So you find somebody that you kind of identify with, and rock with, and again, you might have to go through trial and error, but don't sit there and say that's the end all be all because somebody disappoints you or you might not agree.
Right.
They're human too, just like you. Everybody's trying to learn. That's what we're all here to learn. We're all here to grow and learn from each other and teach each other. So,
And that's a good take on it, because I kind of look at it in that way also. I
mm-hmm,
think people do what they want to do. I don't think that I, I know it has to do with other people, like they kind of watch other people, but I do agree with the fact when you were saying people get up and they go to work every day. They
mm-hmm,
do that because they say, "Hey, I'm going to get a paycheck out of this." But if you want to grow and you want to move forward and you want those things in your life, then you'll go for it. It's like when somebody wants something, they'll go after it. Is the
mm-hmm,
way that I kind of look at that. And it's like for me, it goes across the borders. It goes across that border like of age, or that thing of age.
mm-hmm,
It's like if you want it, you go after it. If you want that particular job, you go after it. If you
mm-hmm,
want that pursue that, you want to go after it. Yep. Just like Linda was saying, she was agreeing with you. It helps you to grow if
mm-hmm,
you're around those different people, because they won't let you stay in the same. They won't let you stay in the same state that you're in.
mm-hmm,
It causes us friction, but it causes, like in the word, it tells us that iron sharpens iron.
mm-hmm,
Like you have to be around people who you may feel like, ugh, I look uncomfortable around, but they are stretching you and they're
mm-hmm,
helping you to grow. Not uncomfortable as in somebody's doing something wrong to you, but
mm-hmm,
you may feel like, oh, I'm out of place in this. I don't know as much as they do, or oh, I may disagree with that. But even with your disagreement,
mm-hmm.
you still could learn something.
Because like I'm that person that I might think I'm right about something, and I'm very adamant. I'm very kind of like defiant in a way, but but if I'm wrong, eventually I'll be like, okay, you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know what I mean? What's the purpose in being right? It's like, ooh, okay, I'm right. What's next? It's like, okay, if I'm wrong, it's like, okay, I want to learn how to be, what's the correct way of doing something, or what's the correct way of going about something, because I ultimately don't want to be that guy who's just walking around being ignorant and just doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's like
Living all
you
kind of
want to
ways.
learn and keep moving forward. Now you were saying that you're 32, you have a 4-year old
Hmm.
and all this good stuff, and you're single. You're not married. You're single, and
Correct.
um some people, I have heard people say this, and
Hmm.
y'all, it wasn't me, but it's been other people that I listen to. They said the dating pool has pee in
Has
it.
kid and
So
oh
what do you
man.
think about that, Omar? Does the dating pool have pee in it for you?
I would say basically, like again, I look at things from a balanced point of view. Men and women. I mean, a lot of people feel like SP in it because I feel like a lot of people don't. Well, oh man, how do SP
Like
in
you trying to choose
it?
his words right.
Because I mean, it. I think all pools have pee. It always have pee in it. It's just you have to be smart about where you swim at. That's because you go to the wrong end of the pool,
He said,
but
"Be careful where you swim." Okay,
yeah,
I got
be
you,
careful
Omar.
where you swim. That's all. Because I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, people could say whatever. People can always point the finger at other
Yeah,
people, but ultimately, we're held accountable for our own decisions. You know,
Yes.
we answer to ourselves. At the end of the night, we still sleep in our bed. Even if, you with somebody, it's like you still are in your own head. When you go to
Yeah.
sleep, you're not in your head with you. So you got to move based off of, okay, your standards, your boundaries. And if people don't line up, they don't line up. Don't try to force anything. Because a lot of times as people, we try to force something. Oh, maybe it's just this, maybe it's just that. And sometimes it's like, look, just bow out. It is what it is. Maybe y'all just not lining up. Quit. And first thing, because it's like a pride issue with a lot of people. They always try to find flaws in other people to make themselves seem like, oh, you ask, like for instance, you ask men and women, they don't know why is it that you're single? They always be like, oh, well, she did this or well, he did that. Nobody ever says, well, you know what, you know,
Well,
um,
it's just me.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, nobody ever says it's just them. So
Yeah.
if they held themselves accountable or if they, look in the mirror, then we'll make better choices.
Yeah. And they don't, they just go ahead and they look at themselves and just say, hey, you know
Hmm.
what? It's me. I don't want to date right now. Or it's me. This is where my standard is and I'm not dropping it.
Hmm.
So therefore, if nobody is within this thing, and it's not like you have a list of 100 things that this person has got to do before you can even talk to them, but you do have your standards and what you say your non-negotiable things. It's like, okay, this right here I may be able to work with you with, but this over
Hmm.
here, I was like, no, I ain't gonna compromise with that right there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's just it's like
Yeah.
you have to look at
You
yourself.
can't. I would say, yeah, that's like you can't complain about having pee in the pool if you peeing in the pool. If you don't want to pee in, I'm like, hey, yeah, you can't play that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because I listened to some of the people who were talking about all of this and the different people who were saying different things. And I was like, wow. But they were like, but I have seen people who complain about everything, but they don't take the time to look at themselves and say, hey, what is it like with me?
Hmm.
It's like I want to be this type of person and work on yourself and be the person that you want to be.
Hmm.
And then if you want to bring somebody into that, you can. And if you choose not to, then you don't. But
Yeah.
you don't have to. Sometimes people make it out for singles that you gotta have somebody. No, you
Hmm.
don't. You really don't. It's like it's a matter of preference of what you want.
Hmm.
If you want somebody there, then you can have somebody there. But if you don't want, you don't have to. It's not like you gotta
Hmm.
go out and get married. And it's like sometimes people just push that. And
Hmm.
sometimes they push it with singles and saying, if they don't have nobody, then they lonely. But that's not necessarily true because people who
Hmm.
are married can be lonely.
Yeah.
So we have to realize, and I like that. You say you can't complain about the pee in the pool when you're the one that's peeing in the pool. You can't. It's like you got to check yourself. You got to
Yeah.
see who you are, so that you can be the person. Like be the person you looking for. How
Yeah.
about that? Be the nurturer. Be the caring
So
person.
you pee in the pool, you pee right along with me.
Like be who you want to be in order to draw to you who you want in your life or whatever. And I like the
Mhm.
fact that you said not to be compromising and not to just
Yeah, because everybody has different standards. Everybody has different things. What might work for one person might not work for another person.
right.
But I think the big problem is everybody thinks it's a certain particular thing that everybody has to do in order to, have a
Yeah,
successful, I would say, relationship, I guess.
yeah,
But it's like you find out what works for you and that person, and
yeah,
it's all the best, like all about learning about somebody. It's like, okay, if that works for y'all, that works for y'all. Might not work for somebody else, might not work for me, might not work for this person over here, but if it works for you, it works for you and that other person. Because at the end of the day, like I said, if you take everybody else out of the equation, you just have you and that individual. It's like y'all got to have a system that works
right.
forget what everybody else says. It's like find out what your system is, where y'all system is, and how to make that system work.
Yeah, because
Just like,
different people. Because I know a lot of people are asked. They ask for when they see that somebody's been married for like a long time.
mhm,
They're saying, "Well, what's the key for being married this long? And even if somebody lives like a really long time, they were like, what's the key for living this long and being here this long?" And
mhm.
it's like, really, everybody's looking for a secret, and there is no. I don't think that there is a secret. I
No,
really think that you just live your life, you do what you need to do, and I think if you're still here, then it's the system that worked for you.
mhm,
And it's by the grace of God that you're still here when you're 100, when you're 90 something, when you're 80
mhm,
something, even when you're 25 and 35, you know, it's
mhm.
by God's grace that we're still alive and we're still here. So I'm saying it's like rejoice in that. And then even with your relationships and stuff, you just have to, like you were saying, you have to find your rhythm with your person
Mhm.
and not try to go off of somebody else's rhythm and do what
Yeah,
somebody else did because what they did may not even work for you.
yeah, 'cause
Wow. But working with your son, you said that you have him sometimes, you work with him sometimes.
mhm,
Um, what are some of the things that you love to do with him? He's 4 now. He's not
mhm.
like in the teenagery. He's still, he's getting ready to start pre-K and all that other good stuff. So what are some of the things that you like to do with him that you enjoy doing with him as being his dad?
Well, the number one thing, he has this black Jeep thing that I bought him for his, I think it was Christmas or his birthday or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I like walking. I mean, walking around, letting him drive, letting him, walk around the neighborhood. Just kind of like letting him just kind of take in the whole environment and stuff like that. And it's like quiet time. I mean, it does have like a little radio hookup. So if I wanted to play music through his little car, I can. But
His car has a radio
his
hook.
car has a little radio, yes,
Oh
man, with
my
the
goodness.
cord and all that. Yeah. So I can play music, but sometimes just relaxing, just taking it in, checking out the neighborhood because I know he's a kid. Kids like to explore. And sometimes I then, walk a little further. Like at first, I start them out in the small areas, and then I walk a little bit further, and then I'm graduating to venturing further out and letting him explore on his own. That's one thing. Number two is I do have a book, or I have a couple books that sometimes I sit down and read with him. Like, and he loves reading. Like if I ask him, hey, you wanna read? He'll jump off my lap and grab a book and then ready to read and stuff like that. And he'll sit down and sound out the words, and it's just like kind of like watching him eager to learn and eager to do different things. Even sometimes just like cleaning and stuff. He'll
Yeah.
see me washing dishes. He'll come in there and try to help. He's very very helpful. Like try to help me take out the trash. From cleaning out the car, he'll do that. It's just little stuff like that. Like so, it's like, but it's also teaching him skills too.
Yeah.
Where he's like excited to clean, excited to, you know, help out, excited to help around the house and stuff like that. Because that's very important. Because as adults, I know some adults that don't do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
So for him to, you know, for him to be that way now, hopefully it sticks. Hopefully it stays.
It's
So,
like hopefully it's not a phase that he going through, that it'll just be embedded in him and he'll just continue to do it.
oh yeah, yeah. the,
So
the
what
biggest thing now is like trying to figure out, okay, what's he going to be interested in
yeah.
like the next 5 to 10 years. You know?
Have you seen anything in him that you may think, man, he might like drawing, or he might like
Um,
doing some of the things that you like to do?
Well, he likes his car. He likes driving. Again, I like being mobile. I like driving around. I like
Yeah.
if I'm in a car, I want to be behind the driver's seat. Like I don't want to be
Oh,
in a
I know.
passenger seat. I want to shoot. If it's like a 7 hour drive, I'll gladly drive a 7 hour drive, 8 hour drive. I don't care as
Oh,
long
I
as I
know.
have a steering wheel. I'm good. So yeah, him driving his car because he drives. Other kids kind of just take the wheel and they zigzag and stuff. He like he'll drive straight, and then when he comes to a stop sign, he'll stop at the stop sign, look both ways, and then turn his car. He'll stay in his lane and everything. So it's like You know, he's been here before.
Well, Omar, our time is almost up, but I wanted you to share with everybody what is an encouraging like word that you hold on to, or something that encourages you to keep you motivated and to keep you going, or maybe something that you would like to share with somebody that has helped you, that they may be listening tonight and say, man, if you get that word to them, that it's going to encourage them, it's going to help them, it's going to build them up because it helped you. Is there anything, whether it's a scripture, whether it's a quote, whether it's just a saying that you keep close to your heart? Is there something that motivates you and keeps you moving and going?
Okay. I would say you can either be your own worst enemy or you can be your own best friend.
Mm,
Um, because like I know last year, I would say prior to last year, I was going through situations or whatever. But I was people don't know it, but I was homeless for a little minute. I was bouncing around from houses, sleeping in my car sometimes, and stuff like that, trying to get everything together. Even though for instance, I did have a situation where I did have a blackout in December. I think it was 2019. I had a
mm,
blackout, and it was like, okay, that they said I couldn't drive or couldn't do anything, like I couldn't just be behind the wheel for like 6 months. So ultimately, I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything. So it's like it kind of, my money started drying up and everything like that. But fast forward from there till now it's like I have, a nice paying job. I have my own place. I have a newer car that I, had for since September. I think not this past September, the September prior, but everything kind of like flipped within just 1 year time. I went from being living in my car to living in my place. So
yeah.
all
So
the
you can
furniture I have, yeah. So
you
it's like
can
an
be your
example.
own. Go ahead.
So because the job that I did have, I said I was going to be at that job. Like I was working there, and I was like, by January of this year, I'm going to be out of this place. Nobody had to tell me that. I said that, and I kept saying it, kept saying it, kept saying it. And when January rolled around, I left that job. I transitioned to another job, but that was like a temporary in between thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it got me to the job that I have now, which I was at the other job for like probably like I would say 2 to 3 months. So it was like, and I had the motivation. I had it in my head. Same thing with the surgery. Like I knew I was going to be okay. And then I was at the hospital. I was at the hospital that same week, and I was back in school the rest of the month. It's just like
Yeah.
a lot of it's the mindset thing. And I know I can I can be my own worst enemy sometimes, but it's like when those moments happen, I'm talking to myself now because, but it's like when those moments come about, then it's like I have to dig myself up out of it. Because like I
Yeah.
said, you're the only person in your head. You control the outcome of your life or whatever. You control your choices. You might don't focus on things that you can't control. Focus on the things you can control.
Because you
And
could be your own worst enemy, or you could be your own best friend.
mhm.
That's good. That is really good. I love it. Omar, well, Omar, I thank you for coming on the show tonight just to share a little bit about yourself and share about who you are. I think I think some nuggets where it can be pulled out of this. It was just good talking to you, and good that you came on. I'm gonna have to get you to come back, and when you come back, you have to bring some of your art pieces.
Oh,
So
I got to get to work then.
artwork in the background so people can see what you're doing. And hopefully we'll be planning an art show when you
Hopefully,
can get all
fingers crossed.
your pieces and everything together. But I do thank you for coming on tonight. I thank you for agreeing to be my guest on tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, guys, this is whole and beautiful. I thank you all for joining me tonight. I thank Omar again. I thank you for being here. And I am Angela D. Oliphant. I am allowing you to see, hear, and know that whole and beautiful is not just your destination, it is most definitely your journey. So join me again next week at 7 p.m. on Friday, or you can get the replay tomorrow at 4 p.m. But come on back and join us and walk this whole and beautiful journey with us. Y'all have a great and safe weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Until we meet again, good night.
Good night.